Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another indie movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about The Last Witch. So really quick before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you to my creepy patron peeps. Thank you so much for supporting me and this channel. I love you very much. You can find more information about my Patreon page at patreon.com/nightmaremaven. There'll be a link in the description as well as a little clickable thing at the end of the video. All right, so The Last Witch is a foreign found footage film. Comes from Spain, and I received this as a screener, so there will be information about the release of The Last Witch in the description box should you want to see that for yourself. I can't remember how long ago I got the screener, so yeah, it'll be in the description now. Like I said, The Last Witch is a found footage horror movie. It follows three friends, Sandra, Mario, and Eduardo. They are investigating the legend of Terrassa. I don't know if that's how you say it. Which is a place in Spain that held some witch trials. I think the actual dates were like from 1615 to 1619. And as the legend has it, in the movie, 6 people were accused of witchcraft and only 5 of them were executed. So they are investigating Joanna Toy, who is supposedly the last witch, the 6th witch, who wasn't executed, and they're investigating like a sect of people that, like disciples that like worship her or something like that. All right, so let's talk about The Last Witch. I guess as I was like researching like the ratings and stuff for this on other sites, like I guess I have a really unpopular opinion. I don't know. When this becomes available, you guys can go watch it and see if I'm crazy or not, but just strap in because I'm about to rip this movie a new asshole. All right, so that being said, you could probably figure out I really did not enjoy this movie. I thought it was like, the main problem I had with it is that it seemed like it was super sloppily put together. Like, and I like, sometimes I feel bad saying that about an indie movie because it is an indie movie, but I mean, somebody's gotta say it. Like, it was just sloppily put together. At different points in the movie, I think I heard what was probably like maybe crew members or something in the background. And the only reason I think that is because I distinctly heard voices talking that didn't sound like any of the didn't sound like any of the characters. It sounded like it was out at a distance and none of the characters acknowledged the voices. So that kind of makes me think maybe it was like crew members or like stray people or something walking around. I don't know. And I'm talking about this like happening in the woods when they're supposed to be isolated, like not if they're like in a public space. I also at one point think I saw either headlights or house lights when they're out in the woods. And it's at a point, you know, where they're supposed to be, you know, deep in the woods, you know, where, you know, there's no like real civilization out there. They're looking for Joanna Toy's house. And again, the only reason why I think it's not meant to be there is because they don't acknowledge it. It's not like they're like, oh, look at those lights over there, and then they follow it and it's like Joanna Toy's house or something like that. They don't acknowledge it or anything like that. So it just seems like it was like super sloppy. Like nobody either noticed or cared to edit that stuff out of the movie, or even noticed while they were filming it. You know, maybe just don't film in the direction of the streetlights. Like, it's understandable if you're not actually super deep in the woods to film, but at least make sure you can't tell that you're not super deep into the woods. I thought the dialogue was kind of unnatural and awkward, and that's kind of hard to judge because it is a foreign language film, so I'm relying on the subtitles. And the only thing I have to say about that is the subtitles were attached to the film already. It's not like I had to turn subtitles on the video, so I assume somebody associated with the film translated it. But I can tell that they did a whole lot more of telling rather than showing. So there's like a whole bunch of awkward parts, you know, like right at the beginning of the movie. you know, they're just like, we don't really understand why they're filming. I did not catch why they were filming, really. And I'll explain that in a second, but like the film opens and Eduardo is like just immediately kind of distressed, like, guys, we need to come up with something interesting to film or we're never going to become famous video bloggers. And then he's just like, hey, what about this legend? Like, it's just super like, and they had title cards at the beginning of the movie that kind of explained the legend. All they had to do was add one more line that said 3 students, 3 friends decided to investigate the legend. This is their story or something like that. And that would have been it. And you wouldn't have even had to have that super awkward, unnatural dialogue. Like, it's just like nobody brings up anything that way. Like I said, they were telling rather than showing. So it just seemed unnatural and awkward. And like I said, you don't even really know why they're filming, other than Eduardo saying like, we'll never be famous video bloggers. That's all the clue you're given. So it's like, you don't know, like, are they trying to upload this to YouTube? Do they have a YouTube show or a YouTube channel? Are they trying to make a movie, like a documentary? Like, what are they doing for most of the film? But definitely at a distinct point at the end of the film, like, why are we still filming? Like, so it's like, I can understand to a certain extent why they're filming, I guess, if they want to be vloggers or something. But there comes a time in the film, and I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. There comes a time in the film where it's just, it makes no sense. And I will stand by that decision, especially like the last, what is it, like 10 minutes or so or something like that. Like, I want somebody to try and argue with me, like, why Sandra is still filming. Why? There's no reason why she should still be filming at the end. None. You cannot convince me. You just cannot convince me. Sorry, I got a little heated there. And speaking of the ending, it just goes on for way too long. Like, obviously they find Joanna Toy's house and scary stuff happens in there and the characters run out of the house and then they're running through the woods trying to get back to the car and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't know, like, they're just walking through the woods. Like, they seem super calm. Like, I feel like after what they saw in the house, they should be racing through the woods to get back to the car. But they're not. They're just kind of like walking around, and you just like, it's just like an endless maze of her, like, kind of like, oh, and you turn and there's like a scary thing, and it just goes on for way too long. Like, way too long. And like, after she sees a scary thing in the woods, she doesn't really run away. Just drags for way too long. And then there's just like useless crap thrown in there. Like, okay, I'm gonna tell you this part, and when you hear my explanation of it, like when you hear me describe the scene, you will know that this has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. It, like, again, somebody please try and argue with me. This has nothing to do with the film. So I'm not spoiling anything. So, of course, like I explained as the plot, they're going to find Joanna Toy's house, which is in the woods somewhere. So they're camping in the woods. Very a la Blair Witch Project. It's nighttime, they're in the tent, they're a couple of kids, so they're telling each other ghost stories. That makes sense. So Sandra tells a scary story about Joanna Toy, which is like fitting for the movie, and then Mario, like, this a-hole comes in and he's like, well, I got a scary story. So he starts telling this story, and it's about like an abnormally tall and thin man, and I was kind of just like, okay, who gets a job as like a debt collector or something. So for his job, he goes around to people's houses and he's dressed in a suit and tie. And I'm kind of just like, okay, this is, I feel like the picture you're painting is kind of familiar, but anyways. And then he starts telling, like, continuing on the story, like some kids are trying to scare him. So they think they're throwing water in his face, but they throw gasoline on his face and he falls to the ground and his face catches on fire. And then I'm like, I know where this is going. Sounds like Slender Man, right? And then right at that part in the story, the video starts freaking out and staticking out, just like in the, I haven't really seen any Slender Man movies, but like in the game. When you get caught and it gets all staticky and you see Slender Man for a second, that's literally what happened. That is literally what happens. Like, somebody please explain to me why that was in the movie. Is that supposed to be a joke? Is it supposed to be funny? I don't get it. Like, it has nothing to do with the movie. Like halfway through the movie and I was done with it already. And then the Slender Man thing, just, my mind was just like what does this have to do with anything? This makes no sense. So I was like, maybe they're making a joke. Maybe this is supposed to be like a parody or something of like found footage movies, like, because it seems very similar to the Blair Witch Project. So I'm like, maybe they're spoofing it. Maybe this is supposed to be satire or something. Nothing I have found nothing I have found points to this being satire. So I don't know, maybe it is, and I don't know, and maybe just nobody has like really reviewed it yet enough to talk about it. Right, so yeah. Is this worth watching? No, hard pass. Like, absolutely not. Even if somebody tells me that this is supposed to be satire and this is supposed to be like a parody, it's supposed to be funny, I'm still not gonna watch it again. Like, I'm just too, it just made me so angry. It was so bad. That being said, I'm gonna give it a 0.5 out of 5, and the only reason it's not getting a 0 out of 5 is I don't think you can give something a 0 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so it can have the 0.5. The only rating I could find for my normal rating sites or whatever is IMDb, which is a 5.1 out of 10, which I'm dubious about because I kept clicking on that like to find what people were saying about it, because I was like, well, shit, I don't know, maybe I missed something. Again, I was looking to see like maybe it's supposed to be parody and I missed something and it just went over my head. But when you click on it, like nothing comes up. Nothing. Like, it's absolutely nothing. No, like, no, you don't even see like ratings, like people rating it and not writing anything. There's no reviews. I don't know. But I saw on other sites like Found Footage Critic and stuff gave it like an 8 out of 10 or something, so maybe I missed something. Who knows? So like I said, I will leave the info on The Last Witch in the description box. So if for some, I don't know if it's out yet. Sorry. I just didn't feel the need to look anymore because I didn't like the movie. But if it is out already and you have seen it, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. You can find me on my blog at nightmaremaven.com. There should be a revisit review up there now on Ouija. You can also find me on morbidlybeautiful.com. I recently reviewed Spookers on there, so you can find that there. And you can find me on Patreon, of course, if you want to support the channel. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye!